Locking in. Don't even try it. You're surrounded!
Caught you red-handed.
Hey, proxies, Senpai here. What was that? What do you mean? How'd you escape the police? Ha! I didn't. Yep, guess I'll be here a while. John Lootbar!
That's right. Here to get you out, so you can preach to the world the wonders of Lootbar.
Yeah! Lootbar is a safe and trusted shop where you can top up premium currency for your favorite games, including other Hoyo titles. The good part is that Lootbar gives you more Monochrome for way less, with a discount of up to 23% off. For my min-maxers out there, you know that number makes a huge difference. Whether you're saving up for a signature W engine or just trying to stretch your pools further, every bit counts. And if you're brand new to Lootbar, you get an extra 10% off coupon on your first order. That's 2 big, juicy coupons stacked. The whole process is quick and safe. Just enter your UID, your region, pick what you want, and your order shows up fast. No login info, no sketchy risks, just clean, simple delivery. Plenty of other proxies and creators already use Lootbar for their deals, and now you can too. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description or the pinned comment and start saving today with Lootbar. And that's how I broke out of prison. Oh, yeah, we're making the Yidhari video. Let's break down exactly how Yidhari works. Starting with her core skill, it changes all of her ice damage into sheer ice damage, which ignores enemy defense and uses sheer force to scale instead of attack. Interestingly, the damage dealt by her skills increases as her current HP decreases. The damage bonus reaches a maximum of 100% when Yidhari is missing half her HP. If she ever heals above half, this damage bonus lingers for 5 seconds, so don't worry if you're not always below half. Oddly, her decibel gain is lowered from all of her skills, but she converts HP lost into decibels. This encourages you to consume HP and heal consistently to be able to charge her ultimate. It's worth noting that 10% of her HP is converted into sheer force. This is specifically written. However, rupture units also seem to convert 30% of their attack into sheer force by default. Maybe one day we'll get a different scaling other than HP? Her additional ability activates if there is a stun or support agent on the team. It has 2 effects. First, if her HP is below half, she'll gain crit damage and will take less damage. Second, when she's in Ether Veil Wellspring, after she does her spin attack or special parry, Yidhari will summon a tentacle, which deals extra damage. This tentacle is considered an EX special, and its damage multiplier is based on the level of her EX skill. Let's move on to Yidhari's other skills. Thankfully, all of them do ice damage, so please assume all damage done by her is ice. We'll begin with her basic attack. Her standard combo consists of 3 attacks. The last one is important as it is a follow-up to many other attacks in her kit. We'll make a note during each skill if it shortcuts back to this attack, so be sure to pay attention. Its main function is to heal Yidhari for 10% of her max HP. As we've covered, consuming HP is converted into decibels, so being able to heal consistently and drain her HP amounts to more chances to ult. Yidhari also has a charge attack named Frostbite Embrace. By holding the basic attack button, she'll begin charging her hammer up to 3 levels. Level 1 is any amount of the meter before the first glow effect. Level 2 is after you see 1 glow effect and before the bar is full. Level 3 is after the 2 glow effects once the bar is full. The higher your HP, the faster the charging will consume it. You can see as you hold her charge, the HP drains much slower and eventually stops when she is at 25%. Charging more does not consume HP beyond this point. This is to prevent you from being one-shot by enemies. You'll want to avoid using the level 1 charge as it doesn't do anything special. Her level 2 and 3 charges both have a finishing move, which we'll call her finisher. After it, you can press basic attack to follow up with the 3rd hit of her basic attack to heal. The follow-up's damage is increased based on your charge level up to a maximum of 30% at charge level 3. Speaking of which, when you're using the level 3 attack, you can press basic attack to go into the finisher early. It's important to be constantly healing and charging, and her next ability, Frost Crushing Weight, protects her while she's charging. It functions like a sort of automatic parry, so you don't have to think about it too much. She also has a manual parry, which we will cover soon. If you are struck by an enemy while charging or spinning, you'll see that Yidhari seems to deflect enemy attacks. This basically makes her unable to be interrupted, and if she's not at full charge, boosts her up to the next level. Once you see this blocking animation, you can let go of basic attack and press it again to go into her finisher and third basic attack. Or, if you're charging, you can press special to go into her next skill, her special attack, Surging Cold, Crushing Pursuit. There's two ways to activate this skill. The first is by pressing special while charging or spinning during her charge attack. The second is by pressing dodge while charging. If this skill collides with an enemy attack, or hits a stunned enemy, you'll gain a buff depending on which condition was met. Both buffs will immediately set your charge level to max. You can press basic attack during this skill to go into your finisher. If you have enough adrenaline, you can instead press special to go into Glacial Crush. This attack will refund 15 adrenaline if it was used after a manual parry and will heal Yidhari for 33% of her missing HP at the end of the skill. You may press basic attack to go into your finisher at the end as well. Next up are her chain attack and ultimate skills. Her chain attack is a standard damage dealing attack that can be used during the stun window. If she is an Ether Veil Wellspring, she'll also summon tentacles for added damage. What is Ether Veil Wellspring? It's a special mechanic both Yidhari and Lucia have. Lucia can activate it in various ways, and if you're interested in her, we'll link our guide at the end of the video too. However, we're talking about Yidhari, and for her, Ether Veil works differently. Whenever Yidhari reaches 3000 decibels, her EX specials, chain attack, or the final hit of her charge attack will consume the decibels to activate Ether Veil Wellspring for 30 seconds. If it was already activated, this will just extend the duration. Now that it's active, let's talk about what it does. It will increase the max HP of all squad members by 5%. This means more sheer force for Yidhari. In addition to this, her charging speed is increased and HP is consumed faster. This means more decibels. Her gameplay loop is very well done. Now that we can generate decibels, it's time to ult. Yidhari's ultimate is special because it's the first one that cannot be used immediately. She has to expend the 3000 decibels to activate her Ether Veil, or else she cannot ult. Once she does, she'll gain one free use of her ultimate with a 30-second time limit. If you do not use her ultimate within 30 seconds after activating Ether Veil, you will lose it. It's important to note that this is a hard-coded limit. It is not tied to Ether Veil being up or not. They share the same duration, but if, for example, you already had Ether Veil up with Lucia, it is possible to lose your ultimate and still have Ether Veil up. You cannot stack or save these charges of her ultimate. They must be used within 30 seconds. However, there is a cheeky way to double ultimate on Yidhari. First, reach 3k decibels and activate Ether Veil. Then, hold your free ult until you're near 3k decibels. Now ult and reach the 3k decibels. Refresh Ether Veil by using one of the attacks that does this, and now use your new free ultimate. That takes care of all of Yidhari's more complicated abilities, so let's quickly cover the last two. Her dodge skill is standard. You can dodge attacks by timing the input properly. Her dash attack can be used by pressing basic attack after a dodge. What's more interesting is her dodge counter. After successfully dodging, if you press basic attack, she'll use it and it can be followed up with her third basic attack for the heal. And lastly, her assist skill. Her quick assist lets her come in and attack if your last teammate is launched, or if you use a support or other skill to trigger a quick assist into her. Her defensive assist parries an attack and allows you to press basic attack to do a follow-up afterwards. Both her quick assist and follow-up can be followed up with her third basic attack as well. For skill priority, you'll want to prioritize leveling up her basic attack, as her charged attacks damage and her very frequent basic attack 3 both come from here. This is followed by her EX attack, as her EX parry does massive damage and heals her for a lot. After these two, her ultimate is also important to keep up with due to the damage it brings to the table. Her remaining abilities can be leveled up for more days and a slight increase in damage output, but they aren't a huge priority. Now that we've covered her skills, let's talk about builds. Yidhari's build is very streamlined. Being a rupture agent that scales with HP, Yunqui Tails is a must-have. Since all of her skills can crit, she can also use Woodpecker Electro or Branch and Blade Song to increase her crit rate or crit damage. Because the tentacles she summons count as EX, you'll want to use Yunqui Tails as her 4-piece. It increases her HP and synergizes well with the use of EX special attacks, giving her both crit rate and the unique sheer damage multiplier increase with plenty of uptime. For her 2-piece, you'll have to decide between Woodpecker or Branch and Blade. There's 2 ways to go about this. The first is to pick whichever gives you the most effective substats. Yidhari will want crit rate, crit damage, and HP percent, in that order. Crit rate helps her critically strike more consistently. Crit damage increases that critical damage, but it relies on the rate being high enough to be effective. That's why it's lower on the priority list. Lastly, HP percent will be converted into sheer force for all damage. Always a good option to have, but not a top priority. The second method is to pick whichever set brings you closest to having a 2-to-1 ratio between your crit rate and crit damage. So if you have 50 crit rate, you'd want 100 crit damage. These numbers can vary greatly, so be sure to pick the one that gets you closest to this, as it will give you the most consistent damage across many battles. Remember that you'll likely gain 12% crit rate from Yunqui Tails, and if you get her signature, it will be even higher. But before we talk about W engines, let's lock in the best main stats for slots 4, 5, and 6. In slot 4, you'll want either crit rate or crit damage. The same logic can be applied when deciding between Woodpecker or Branch and Blade. Pick the one that will get you closer to the 2-to-1 ratio, or the one with the higher effective substats. In slot 5, you'll want ice damage bonus or HP percent. Since you're likely going to have so much HP percent from other sources, HP percent will suffer more diminishing returns, and so ice damage will be the best choice. This assumes both discs have similar effective substats. If one disc has many more subs than the other, choose that one instead. Do not use pen ratio here. Being a rupture unit means all of her damage bypasses defense, so pen ratio would be useless here. In slot 6, you'll want HP percent. The difference between HP percent and attack percent for the average HP values agents have means you'll receive 70% more sheer from HP percent versus the same amount of attack percent. For this reason, you'll only want HP in this slot. Any other disc will be filler. And now, on to the W engines. Let's talk about Yidhari's W engine options. As with most premium agents, her best will be her signature, Kraken's Cradle. It's designed to perfectly complement her kit by providing a high base attack, standard for S-rank agents, an HP percent advanced stat which converts well into sheer force, and a great additional ability. As her HP decreases, she gains a sheer damage multiplier, which is still very new and unique. It being so rare makes it less subject to diminishing returns. She also gains 20% crit rate if she's below half health, which is going to be a very common case, so it will almost always be active. Getting both the premium agent and weapon can be a huge investment depending on your luck. So here are Yidhari's other options. The first 2 alternatives are very close in performance, so don't feel bad if you can't get one over the other. The first is the S-rank Qingming Birdcage, Yishuan's signature. It provides 743 base attack at max level, which is the special amount of Void Hunter level engine has. However, since we're talking about rupture units, this isn't that much better than an A rank since less than 1/3 of that attack will be converted into bonus sheer force. What's really important here are the 30% HP from the advanced stat and 20% crit rate you'll receive in combat. Remember that this 20% will not be shown in the stat screen, so account for this when building. The rest of this engine's abilities are all locked behind Ether, so they don't apply to Yidhari. The next best option is much more accessible. It's Grillo-Wisp, Monato's signature. You can obtain copies of it from Lucia's or Vivian's W engine banners right before Yidhari is released. It provides very similar stats to Qingming Birdcage. Key differences are that it will have 119 less base attack, which amounts to 35 or 36 sheer force, 5% less HP, and depending on how many copies of it you have, it can have either 15 to 24 crit rate. So it can actually provide more crit rate than Qingming Birdcage at 5 copies. The fire damage portion of the ability is sadly not usable by Yidhari. Speaking of accessibility, the next option is Puzzle Sphere, the craftable option you can get at Box Galaxy. It will increase your crit damage after using EX specials, which Yidhari does often, and synergizes well with Yunqui Tails as well as her additional ability. Something to note is that since the performance of this depends on the enemy's remaining health, this engine performs a bit worse in Deadly Assault. Lastly, you can use Radio Wave Journey. This engine is only available via the new Eridu City Fund, so it's not particularly accessible for most players, but it is guaranteed if you purchase the plan. I also just like how it looks. To effectively use Yidhari on a team, you need to make sure her additional ability is activated. This means that you'll need a stunner or support specialty agent on your team. Let's cover her options for stunners first. Her best options include the premium Jafufu, who provides her attack and rupture DPS partners with an additional 300 decibels after an ult. This basically discounts your next ultimate and allows Yidhari to more consistently execute her double ultimate trick. Jafufu will be rerunning alongside Yidhari, so it's a great opportunity to pick them up together. On the other hand, should you fail your 50-50, or if you've already pulled Lycon, he'll be her next best option. Kind of insane that teams with him may outperform other premium agents, but this makes Yidhari very accessible. Lycon provides a lot of Ice Rest Shred, a stun damage multiplier, and excellent daze buildup, while remaining relatively hands-off and letting Yidhari do her thing. Alternatives include Trigger, Pulchra, and Lighter. Trigger has some of the strong points that Lycon has, being non-invasive and provides an even better stun damage multiplier. However, she doesn't build as much daze as Lycon, and if you have her Sig, its defense shredding passive is completely wasted on a rupture unit like Yidhari. You'd actually be better off using another premium Sig if you have access to one. Then her Sig, and then free-to-play alternatives. Next, Pulchra is a surprising pick here. However, remember that her placement here is only valid if you have M6. Otherwise, her damage percent buff does not apply to anything except Aftershock. She provides good daze while remaining off-field, and her damage buff isn't too shabby. Now, Lighter is an amazing stunner for ice and fire teams. However, when it comes to Rupture, he finds himself in a tight spot not being able to activate his insane additional ability without having Lucy on the team. Or Orphe, I guess? Either one of them has the following problem. Their buffs are minimized when applied to Rupture agents. They're known for giving large amounts of attack. For Rupture agents, only 30% of this will be converted to Sheer Force. So while you can run Lighter on the team, you'll have to jump through hoops to activate his additional ability. He also takes up a bit more field time than the previous options, and that will inhibit Yidhari as she's a bit of a field hog. You're also free to use Qingyi, Kaleda, or Ambi if you need a stunner, but they're mainly just there to provide daze buildup. Let's move on to the supports and an honorable mention. Yidhari's best support is Lucia. She can activate Aetherveil Wellspring much more easily to provide HP, a huge 900 Sheer Force buff, and more. Next up is Astra Yao. I'd recommend her in this position only if you have her at M1, or if the next option isn't available at all. She provides crit damage, damage percent, and a huge attack buff, but it only amounts to 360 Sheer Force because of the conversion. Our honorable mention, who isn't a support, is Pan Yinhu. He's a great supporter for Rupture, but using him comes with a caveat. The third teammate must be a stun or support unit so Yidhari's additional ability is activated. He can be used regardless of Mindscape, but he'll be most effective at M6 since his Sheer Force buff is much greater. Lastly, you can also use Lucy, mainly in the case of using Lighter. Unfortunately, her attack will be greatly diminished when being converted to Sheer Force. I personally really like Lucy as a unit, even if she's not performing well these days. Yidhari's gameplay loop is very straightforward. She's all about landing devastating blows, countering, and healing up to build as many decibels as possible. While simple, it is pretty satisfying. Being a Rupture unit, she will have immediate relevance in the current meta, and while she's pretty accessible when it comes to her team lineups, there is a small caveat. Her shill boss, Wandering Hunter, is weak to ice, but resists physical as well. This means that players who were planning to rely on Pulchra as a teammate will not see the best performance. On the upside, if you have Lycon, then you've got nothing to worry about. And if you have Fufu, even better. So, is Yidhari a good pull in today's meta? Well, that's kind of troublesome to think about. She shares elements with our current Void Hunter, Miyabi. This means that aside from Wandering Hunter, they'll be competing in terms of performance. So, if you have Miyabi or a pretty well-built Hugo, then Yidhari is more of a luxury pull for you. Similarly, Yishuan is able to yield great results on the Rupture exclusive front, even on the new boss, so the need to pull Yidhari goes down even further if you have her as well. Overall, if you are missing the strongest units in the game, then yes, Yidhari is a good pull. Otherwise, it's a situation where you'd pull her just because you like her, which is always a valid reason to pull for a character. If you enjoy the game, you'll keep playing, so go and have fun. Once you've decided to pull for Yidhari, you may ask yourself, are her Mindscapes worth it? Let's cover what they do and any interesting stopping points as well. Her M1 will provide you with options on how to use her EX special attacks. You can use a single EX at the cost of 50 adrenaline, or 2 of them for the cost of 85. So, you'll likely be holding your adrenaline a little longer, but the payoff is doubled in damage and healing as well. Such a large heal means more decibels as well. Plus, your basic attacks and EX specials will also ignore some ice res. This is honestly a very loaded Mindscape. I'm surprised how valuable it is. Her M2 provides you with 40% crit damage. Depending on how much crit damage your build has, assuming 100 to 200 crit damage, you should see an increase of 13 to 20% damage overall. The lower crit damage you have, the higher value this Mindscape will provide. This is due to diminishing returns. It also provides you with consistent adrenaline regen, which is just tied to you using Yidhari's kit properly. This synergizes well with the M1, giving it more value as well. M3 is the standard plus 2 levels to all skills, and on average you'll see about a 10% increase to your damage from it. M4 is more decibels and more HP, while in Aether Veil Wellspring, further increasing your sheer force by a bit. This seems like a minimal upgrade, especially since it comes right after her M3. The only merit I see to this one is if the decibel gains allow you to do another well-timed ultimate in your runs. M5 is the same as M3, very simply, higher numbers on all her abilities except core. And lastly, M6. The first half is good. It provides a 25% sheer damage multiplier buff after spending decibels on her Aether Veil, which, for the most part, won't be subject to diminishing returns since it's so rare. I imagine you'll gain somewhere between 15 to 20% raw damage from it. The second half shouldn't really matter, as it's more survivability, but honestly, with the double heal you get from her M1, this is mostly just a thematic thing of being invincible for a bit, and won't be used often. Overall, I think the highest value for her is her M1. You'd ideally want to have her at M1R1. I personally stick to having my agents at M0R1, as the odds of pulling 1 agent and 1 engine should be higher than 2 agents, but sometimes luck has a funny way of changing this. However, if you had to choose Mindscape 1 or her signature, if you have Qingming Birdcage or Grillo-Wisp, I'd say Mindscape 1 will give you the higher performance here.